Let's get started with the features of Avaz. Avaz is available on iOS as well as Android versions. So when we install Avaz, we get certain built-in features and built-in vocabulary. The built-in vocabulary is really important because it gives us a solid base, a foundation on which we can build more and personalize for the child. So let's get started with the home screen. So here we have screenshots of the iOS version and the Android version. And throughout the presentation, I have included screenshots from both versions. Both versions have the same features, but there are very minor differences in terms of how it shows up on the screen. So both versions are highlighted, and if there are any differences, that will be highlighted throughout the presentation. So let me start by introducing you to a feature called onboarding, which is available on the Android version. So let me take you through that first. So when you install the app on Android version, you after you set it up, you get prompted with questions to set up your child's profile. So let me take you through that. Let me screen share, and I'm going to pause a bit here. So this is the mirroring. This is the onboarding feature. I am mirroring Avaz that I have on my phone on the laptop. So it says, tell us about your client. So I have registered as a therapist. So it says, tell us about your client. If you're a parent, it says, it might say, tell us about your child. So you can add your child's picture. So you can pick it up from the gallery, photo gallery. So I'm going to choose my child's picture, and you can enter the child's name, age, and then say continue, right? So I have just installed the app so that I could demonstrate this to you. And then it says, tell us about your client. So select the foods that Sutej loves. So I'm going to choose with the options that are given here. I'm going to choose dosa, chips, milk, puri, and idli. And you can also add your own, but I'm going to do that later. So I'll hit continue. So we have my child's favorite foods. That will show up in the folder later. Similarly, it says it is asking for activities that he loves. So I'm going to choose cycling, swimming, reading, ball, and skating. And then hit continue. Okay. Is there anything that my child is interested in with these options? TV shows, maybe. Okay. So once I'm done with that, automatically you can see that a folder is created. A folder with my child's name, photo, and let's see what is inside the folder. So you can see, as you can see, it's about me folder. There's an about me folder with my child's photograph. So when I select about me, when I go into it, it says my name is Sutej. I'm 10 years old. So these were the things that we filled in. So it has automatically it's showing up in these folders. Similarly, we selected some food items which I might find in the eat folder. Yes. So we have dosa, chips, and milk, puri, idli, all of these which I chose as my child's favorites. Go back. And I also chose some of my child's favorite activities. So we might find those in the activities folder. Activities. Yes, we do find it. So I chose cycling, swimming, reading, ball, and roller skating. So
Go back.
So these were the things that we selected, and now it's appearing in the within the folder.
Go back.
So I have one folder named Sutej, my child's folder, and then I have the advanced folder and the other languages folder, which has um, Indian languages, which I'll be showing later. So this onboarding feature is really helpful in helping parents get a start, even therapists get a start. So you can feed in some of the child's favorite food items, activities, and things like that, and it really helps you give an idea as to where you can start. So it helps you get started. And now on the iOS version, we have getting started folder, basic folder, and an advanced folder, and the other Indian languages. So the getting started, these folders vary in terms of vocabulary. So there is getting started has lesser number of words, basic has more, and advanced has more categories, more advanced language. So similarly, on comparison with the Android version, here we have the child's folder, which is the basic folder, and then we have the advanced folder and other languages and similar things that are there on iOS version. So there's also Avaz also has two different versions, Indian version and the international version. The difference is that in the Indian version, Indian languages are available. I'll take you through a tour of the languages available, and also the voice is it has an Indian accent. It's accented as an Indian speaker, and it also has culturally relevant vocabulary and pictures. The Indian version has culturally relevant pictures and vocabulary. For example, dosa, as you saw, dosa, puri, dal. So it has those words and pictures. So let me now take you through the language folder. So here I am mirroring my phone again. So let me take you through the languages that are available.
Other languages.
So there are 6 Indian languages, and within each of these folders, we have subfolders.
परिचय व सहायता, सामान्य सहायता, कृपया खिड़कियां खोल दीजिए.
So this is how it looks and sounds. The text is in English, but the audio is recorded in that respective language.
Delete. Go back. Go back.
So similarly for all other languages.
Go back.
So the availability of vocabulary in Indian languages, I think as an SLP, I feel that this is a very useful, means of suppose you have to provide language intervention for children who are bilingual. Maybe just transitioning from their mother tongue to English. Then this might be a useful place to start with. Of course, the vocabulary is limited here, but there are possibilities. You can make it bilingual and also provide language intervention. So on the iOS version, we have getting started, basic, and advanced. So we have these 3 graded levels of vocabulary labeled as getting started, basic, and advanced. So to give you a picture of how it varies, getting started has 50 words. Basic folder has a vocabulary of 200 and advanced has around 3,000 words. So it varies in terms of complexity, the level of vocabulary. Advanced folder has more number of subfolders in it. It has more categories in it, linguistic categories in it. So that makes it more, higher level of vocabulary. So it also, and the other things are similar to Android, what I showed. There are Indian languages, there's a quick folder, and core words. So let's now try to formulate a sentence. So if you have the iOS version of the app, you can check out the Getting Started, Basic, and Advanced folders. And you can go into each of those folders and see how the vocabulary varies. So now I am back on the Android screen. So this is the home screen. So in the Android version, the basic folder is the one that you created if you have used the onboarding feature. So this will be the basic folder, and then there is an advanced folder. So that's the slight variation between the iOS and the Android version. So here we are on the home screen. So what we see here are folders, right? So we have different folders. Now let's try to formulate a sentence. So to formulate a sentence or to create a message, so I'm going to go into
Footage.
the child's folder, the folder that's created with the child's name. So I'm going to try and say, I want a food item. So I want dosa. So what we see inside the folder is we have these words, right? So these are called messages. These individual words are called messages, or it's also referred to as buttons. And what you see below are folders. So you can, I hope you're able to make out the difference between the messages and the folders. So the folder looks like this. It's lightly light green colored, and the messages are this way, colored in different colors. So you can also notice that each word has, the words have different background color, right? So this is called, this follows a convention called the Fitzgerald key. Fitzgerald key is a color coding system. So why color coding is used or adopted is that color coding helps us recognize different parts of speech, different grammatical parts of speech. So we have people pronounce colored in yellow, action words or verbs have a green background, adjectives have a blue background, and in the app, all the phrases have a pink background, nouns have an orange background. So that really helps in categorizing the parts of speech. And it also helps in when you're providing language intervention. So you can say, let's look for a blue word. This is something that's also adopted in approaches such as colorful semantics, where we say, let's pick, so if you're looking for a pronoun, you say, let's look for a yellow word, or let's look for a green word, let's look for an action word. So children tend to understand or comprehend and absorb more when these color backgrounds are provided. So that's the intention behind it. Okay, so now coming back to formulating a sentence. So I would want to formulate the sentence, I want dosa. So how do I do that? So please do follow me now, and then I'm going to pause and you can try to formulate a sentence yourself on your device. So I'm going to choose I. So as you can see, it popped up, it zoomed, and then
Want.
I choose want. And then to choose dosa, I'll have to go to the eat folder.
Eat.
And here is
Dosa.
Dosa. So now I have chosen all the words of my sentence. So what am I going to do next is hit or tap the message box. So this white bar that you see is called the message bar. So once you are done putting the words together, you hit the message bar.
I want dosa.
And it reads aloud the whole sentence. Okay. So suppose I wanted to say, I want idli, or I wanted to say I want chips. Let's say I wanted to say I want chips. And instead of chips, I just hit dosa accidentally. So what can I do then? So there is a feature called mistake. There is a mistake button on the right hand side menu bar. So you can say,
I made a mistake.
when you hit mistake, it says I made a mistake. So the AAC user is saying I made a mistake. That will alert the communication partner to wait and look for correction. So then what can you do? You can delete, press
Delete.
the delete button, and then you can I want is retained. You can say
Chips.
chips,
I want chips.
and then hit the message box again. So I'm going to pause here now, and you all can try and formulate your own sentences.
Delete, delete, delete.
So you can either go to the basic folder or advanced folder and try to formulate a sentence. So you're going to choose individual words and go to the respective folder. If you're looking for a food item, you're going to go into the eat folder and choose food items from there.
Go back.
Okay, so there is also another button on the right hand side menu bar where I'm pointing at. It's called the alert button. Suppose the caregiver, parent, or teacher, or any other communication partner is far away from the child or from the AAC user. Then this feature allows them to, the alert button allows them to call for attention. So when you hit that, you hear the bell. The person who is not too far away can reach out to the AAC user. So I think these features are really as important as the vocabulary, because we want the AAC user to be as independent and as communicative as possible. So I hope you're all able to formulate a simple sentence, and I hope you're able to try out the mistake button and the alert button. So let's say I want to formulate another sentence. So I want to say, let me go to the, I'm on the home screen again, and I'm going into the child's folder. So say the child wants to say, I want books. Now I don't see, of course I see I
want
and want, but I don't see the word books. I don't see it here. And I don't know where it is in the app. So when you're beginning, if you're a parent or a therapist, you will not be knowing where every word is. So as you get used to the app, you will begin to learn, and the child learns with you, and you're learning with the child. But we don't know where the word book is. So in that case, what do? So there is a feature called search here on the top where I'm pointing. So you hit search, you press search, and in the search bar, you search for books. Okay, let me say book. So here, what came up for me is book, Sutej, school. So this is the path. So what you can do next is you can, okay, let me try another word. Let me try park. Okay, so it shows me a path.
Home. Other languages, Kannada.
ನೋವು ಮೋಜು ಮಸ್ತಿ ಹೊರಗೆ